Very good afternoon, friends. I'm delighted to introduce Anandajit and Ashoke Viswanathan this afternoon. You will enjoy the discussion and the interaction between Anandajit and Mr. Viswanathan on Anandajit's latest book, Lucy and the Rise of the Parabola. Without further ado, let me quickly introduce the two speakers. Ashok Viswanathan is a national and international award-winning filmmaker who is currently professor and dean at the Satyajit Ray Film and Television Institute, Kolkata. He has directed more than 150 film projects, including feature films, documentaries, short films, and television shows. Apart from the national awards, he has had 5 Indian Panorama entries from the national awards. For entries at IFFI, is a Charles Wallace Scholar at Cambridge and has won the Dishari BFJA Kalakar and the Jaycees awards, besides the Silver Torchlight award at Pyongyang. He has been a visiting professor at Tufts University, Boston, and Monmouth University, New Jersey. Thank you so much, Ashoke Viswanathan, for being with us. And we look forward to your interaction with Anandajit. Anandajit Goswami has a PhD in Energy Economics and Policy from TERI School of Advanced Studies and a Master's in International Trade and Economics from the Jawaharlal Nehru University, where he was also a Ford Foundation Scholar, which was earned through a merit-based entrance and relative grade-based semester system. In the past, he has also worked with TERI, the Energy and Resources Institute, and TERI School of Advanced Studies. At TERI SAS, he taught several courses like Art and Sustainability, Economics of Sustainability, Mathematics for Sustainability for 8 years. Thank you, Anandajit, for being here with us. And I hand over to
Thank you so much.
Mr. Viswanathan. Before we have the discussion, please do launch Lucy and the Rise of the Parabola.
Okay, so I also have a copy of the book.
Yes.
Congratulations, Anandajit. I wish you all the very best with the book. Over to you.
Yes, it's my pleasure to be part of this book. And congratulations to the authors for this book and to Anandajit, who is with me right now. So, Anandajit, it's actually Anandajit, right?
Anandajit.
Yes. So, Anandajit, where are you located?
I am located in Jorbagh Lane, New Delhi, Lodhi Road, near Lodhi Road.
Right. Now, since you were an economist, you're into sustainability, energy. What made you decide to write science fiction?
So, what happened was that in my 18 to 19 years of research on policy research, mostly focusing on sustainability science and energy economics, energy policy making. While I was writing or publishing papers on one side, I was slowly facing a claustrophobia, which I still do face. There are many things that I want to say, which I'm not able to say. And there was a constant agglomeration of restlessness, which was there piling up within me. And science fiction was something because from an early childhood, my exposure to science fiction started. Everyone starts in Kolkata with Satyajit Ray and Shonku, but I didn't limit myself to that. I went to several other writers. I mean, My primary exposure to science fiction was again through Bengali literature. So where I have read extensively anything that I could get, Premindra Mitro, Adrish Bardhan, Begum Rokeya, and you name it,
Uh,
whoever. I also,
Can I just interrupt 1 second? In fact,
yeah,
in
yeah,
Lucy and the Rise of the Parabola, the book that we
mm,
launched just now, and which is the third in the series of Lucy books, there is a very Indian sensibility also. Is it due to
yeah.
your exposure
Mm,
to science fiction at your in your school days or your college days?
mm. See, I strongly believe, and I have never hidden this fact. As you rightly called me Anandajit, I introduce myself everywhere as Anandajit because I think primarily my expression is very vernacular. I
Correct.
imagine very much like a Bengali. I imagine first as an from an Indian cultural perspective because then I also exposed myself to various science fiction in from the northern belt, from Assam, from Andhra Pradesh, from Kannada literature. So that's how I thought, and then later on, I and all these were translated works or in Hindi primarily. One limitation that I faced was I was not well versed with the language of the South. Then I one time I had also started to learn Tamil and Malayalam, but I left it in between. So what happened? I when I decided to express myself, it was a deliberate attempt that even if I am reading Asimov or Bradbury or Hugo Gernsback or whoever, Asimov, these are the well-known names, but also there are many unknown names like Joanna Russ, the eco-feminist science fiction writer, right? But if I am writing or if I'm getting inspired by Joanna Russ or the female man or the where the world ends at the world of the breeders, I should also somewhere reflect in my writing the sensibility of Begum Rokeya, Sultana's Dream. I mean, as someone from the hinterlands of Bangladesh writing that piece way back in 1909, which came out in a journal literature. So I took time. I took so as you can see, I started reading science fiction from a very early age. I think 10, 11. Anandamela was my first introduction. Anandamela Shuktara. But then I didn't leave. And right now I'm at 41. I'm still reading every day, whatever new work is coming up. So I gave myself that claustrophobia to pile up. And then when I decided, okay, how should I express myself? Uh, uh, it happened naturally. I think it happened naturally that this kind of a dystopic world came on my mind because in climate science modeling, we used to project scenarios in the IPCC work or in the mostly in the climate action work scenario. We used to create scenarios, 2030 scenarios, 2040 scenarios. As a modeler, as a policy modeler, I also do that. So maybe somewhere that was also plugged in my mind, and then it all got mixed up. Then my own vernacular sensibilities got mixed up with it, and I was in a great dilemma about naming the protagonist name because there were many Bengali names which came on my mind. Then there were many names which came from different states of India, different parts of the world. But then I had visited, I was in Africa in Addis Ababa for 2 years on a deputation for United Nations Economic Commission for Africa. And I was sent by Terry and the government of India in 2007 to 9. And there I went to the museum where you see the earliest symbolism of humanity, which is called the skeletal, which is kept over there is called Lucy. So then I decided, I think the naming, then I decided from 2007, okay, if someday I express, I somewhere will use the name Lucy, which is beyond, so Lucy is not a Western name. That's many of the critics who have questioned me that while your sensibility is very vernacular, why you kept a Western name? So my response has been that it's not a Western name. It's an acronym of love, understanding, creation, creativity, or youth. And for me, it's a symbolism of humanity. That skeletal that I saw. Sorry, that's how it evolved. The journey evolved.
And also, Wordsworth has his famous Lucy poem. So it has a
Yeah,
poetic dimension also.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Uh, now, uh, Now, the rise of the parabola, the second half of the title. Now, the parabola is a specific mathematical construct. I, being in the field of mathematics initially, we were very much into parabolas and ellipses and hyperbolas.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
where from came parabola?
yeah. It's very interesting. I when I was thinking of the third one, so the plot came on my mind, and then I thought of visually parabola as so parabola on one side is unbounded, on one side it cuts the axis or touches the axis, but finally it's an unbounded set with a boundary at the same time. Now, when the plot came on my, because this is the third step in the first two, continuation of the first two steps. So, what came on my mind that how do I create a set of parallel multiverses or parallel expositions for the readers, parallel openings of characters? Because as you have realized, I have written, rather we have written it, Debashish and I have written it with very much with a sense of magic realism, dark fantasy, metaphors, and lots of self reinterpretation for the readers. We want the characters to be very self reinterpreted with a very open boundaries. There are many areas where we have deliberately kept openness in the characterization. So parabola naturally was then a choice visually, and uh, generally when with the UFO and dark empire, that as a childhood, that image, the visual, when I used to draw, I used to sketch also quite a lot. I mean, for the first two, actually I had done my sketches myself. The third one I had to drop the sketches because they were not visually coming out of that quality. Otherwise the third was also first done through sketches. So the chapters were through sketches first. So there the visualization of parabola came, because hyperbola is very maxima minima, and then that doesn't give you that unbounded
No,
transcendence.
no. No, the other thing is interesting is you just mentioned that in the early days, the days of Star Wars, Return of the
Yeah,
Jedi, and things like that, there also, you know, there is this whole Empire Strikes Back, this kind of a concept, which is
yeah,
very interesting, I think.
yeah.
Now,
Because I no, go ahead, go ahead.
no, no, continue and ask the question again.
No, I was just thinking when you asked me this question that I actually I am more of a visual person, because films, cinema, I always wanted to make films. By the way, I have seen your films, I don't know how many times.
Thank
So
you.
I have watched your films. I mean, I have grown up with films. I've grown up with theater. I've grown up with music. So I think writing came much later to me. I used to write in Bengali, but I never
Right.
thought I will write in English because writing in Bengali comes naturally to me.
Can't these books be made available in Bangla? Because in Bangla there's a huge readership. I would say that whereas the reading habit has waned in the Western world and in English language writing in India, in Bangla at least still, there's a sizable population of young people, adolescents, which explains the success of Feluda and others, Professor Shonku. So why don't you make these available in Bangla? It'd be a new dimension, I think.
Professor Viswanathan, actually I have already written the Bangla form of the first two already. Then, but I don't know how I will get to that market because no one approaches me. And see, I really don't have any contacts. Frankly speaking, I was lucky in a way. And this I say again and again everywhere. Anjunadi liked my work, Anjuna Basu. And when I had written Lucy, Anjunadi told the publisher that this work needs to come out. And I think most people had rejected, but she told the publisher that this is a good work, and so Lucy happened. Then other
Mm.
people also liked, then the publisher. But in the Bangla industry, I don't know. I have already shared some manuscripts, but even in 4 years, I have not got any response from anyone. It's already written. I have already written the Lucy and the Train,
No,
the
no, I
first
think
one.
it's good start. If there is a problem, maybe initially it happens in cinema also. We find it very difficult to finally get a film on board. But I think these will work very well in Bangla, and eventually you're going to get a very good readership. This is my feeling, particularly because of the very human nature of the, it is not an abstruse science fiction novel which will alienate you. It is very human, and you can, whatever scientific details or details of science that are there, those are accessible. And I think that is very important. Do you make a conscious effort to establish this kind of a eye contact with the viewer?
Hmm. Yeah, so I, I was saying yesterday in one of the interview also that so they asked me that how do you define Lucy in 5 words? So I said that for me, Lucy is a confluence of uh, quantum physics, astrophysics, culture, religion, politics, and philosophy. Because primarily because I also had a huge influence of my own mother. She was a philosophy teacher and professor. So I've grown up reading to her lecture notes about Eastern, Western, and other and that stayed with me. And I make a conscious effort that whatever I write, it needs to have a human connection at the end of the day. Uh, I am not a technology Luddite at all. For instance, when I'm reading for Lucy Tree particularly, as I have mentioned again somewhere, that it's a scientific material of 1,000 pages, but I have summarized it to 180 pages. So I had to read a lot about philosophy and astrophysics, philosophy and quantum mechanics, quantum science. How you make it connected with an eye-to-eye contact. It's not that you just say about a theory. How you demystify it. How you make it beyond something. That parabola, right? That unbounded element. So that was the
Exactly.
conscious effort in every line.
Yes, this demystification is very, very important. And it works for all the great, all time great science fiction writers like Arthur C. Clarke. If you look at his 2001 A Space Odyssey, it finally merges into pure philosophy. Or if you
Hmm.
look at someone like Stanislav Lem's
Hmm.
work, Solaris, they merge
Hmm.
into philosophy, but at the same time, as you say, it is accessible, it is demystified,
Hmm.
it obviously has pockets of ambiguity that is there in all literature. And we
Hmm.
want that
Hmm.
ambiguity, we desire that ambiguity. Let there be ambiguity. As you said earlier, let it be interpreted in 1,000 ways. Let each reader interpret it differently. In your book, particularly, I find the concept of time to be very
Hmm.
important. You are moving back and forth.
Hmm.
And even at the end, you are talking about a period
Hmm.
of time which will be in the future. When Lucy is in the future and you are in the past, it becomes a very interesting kind of
Hmm.
a
Hmm.
relationship.
Yeah, yeah. In the third one, actually, in every section, we have tried to play with the multiverse concept of the quantum existence of the same soul at different spaces. And I mean, before writing that, it is also the scientific research that I have to do. That so was Big Bang the beginning? From the Big Bang, are there many universes? Which universe we are there? How many n universes are there? Looking like a same bubble. So, but how do I demystify that in a very simple plot for a child? So there you, as you rightly said, in the pages you will see there are a lot of back and forth. There are a lot of parallel existence. There are a lot of interesting characters, like you must have seen the grasshopper. There's a lot of
Yes.
there's one reference to just a grasshopper, but there I have tried to actually play with gender politics, but I just said it in through a grasshopper. I mean, let it be interpreted by a child or a gender theorist, or so. Even for the grasshopper section, the coping up section, uh, uh, personally, I had to do a lot of research on gender, on philosophy, on quantum multiverses. and then a narrative like that comes. So I
Correct.
think that that demystification is very important. And the more you read, more you understand.
Okay, now Anandajit, this book is written by Anandajit Goswami and Debashish
Devashish.
Chakraborty. Now,
Yeah.
what is the equation between you two? How do you write? How do you come together? And how did it happen?
Yeah. Devashish is, I must say, he has been a mentor, guide, and I mean, he knows me from 2002 days when I was in JNU. So I used to go to his. He was doing PhD, MPhil and PhD at that point of time. So our friendship and this camaraderie developed through music, through similar kind of reading, thinking, and then he also walked into the sustainability space. He was in IFT. He still works with IFT, and then it naturally happened. So when I wrote Lucy and the Train, and I gave him a copy of that because he's an avid reader, and I know he will give me the genuine comments. So when I had given him, so Anjanadi liked the work. Devashishda said, "This is a fascinating work." And then I asked him that, "Do you think I should publish it?" He said, "Yes, and I will like to join you." And I said, "Yeah, I will be blessed if you join me," because and so uh, with him there is never a problem because he allows me to be spontaneous. So I write, then he polishes just as you do with your actors. So you are as Ashok Viswanathan is Devashishda is my Ashok Viswanathan. I am just the actor, and he directs me in the entire process. Okay, this part you can cut down your heart a little, be here a little bit more methodical, put in a little process, and he also contributes. So
Mm.
it's back and forth. Again, we work on track changes. So every two chapters I write, I send my visuals, graphs, everything to him. He critically goes through that. He comes back. He adds his narrative.
Mm.
Then we argue, we debate, then we decide. I mean, it's fun. It's fun working with him. It's fun.
Uh, would you like to read a small portion for our viewers, which you think is
So
interesting?
I will rather request you because I am elated that you read the book. Whichever section
Mhm.
you want me to read, I will read that.
Okay. Can you read the last scene? Because that is a kind of open ended. Just read the last scene.
The page 180.
Yes, yes, yes.
So I'm reading from Jenny Dang. Okay. So Jenny Dang got up in the morning, and her instinct drove her to Lucy's room. Her anxiety skyrocketed the moment she noticed the empty bed and frantically searched for Lucy in the house. But she was nowhere. Oh my God. Has Lucy again gone back to park? Or has she again gone to meet that boy Nicola? Her mind raced. Will I lose my child like Jonathan? The obvious concern arose next. Jenny got extremely anxious and was planning to call the police. However, she somehow controlled her impulsive emotions and told herself, let me first go to Nicola's house and the park before doing that. The moment she stepped out of the house, she spotted Lucy walking towards home dejectedly. As soon as she saw her mother, Lucy ran towards her and gave a tight hug. My daughter is with me, a contained, relaxed Jenny Dang thought. First the train, then AI, and now Parabola. First a random balloon seller, then Uncle Peter, and now Nicola. I wonder what's in store for me next, Lucy thought, while inhaling the assuring fragrance coming out of her mother's body through a series of deep breaths. It was a cloudy morning, and the day had just begun in Lucy's life for the future.
Mm. Yes. So where does it go from here? What is your uh, you're leaving
I
us?
so whenever I take any of the Lucy's step, So the way I generally do is that I sit someday, close myself in a room and try to imagine myself becoming that character. And so generally on a Sunday, I do that. Sunday, I shut off myself from everything, no phone calls, nothing, nothing. And then I allow, okay, it's as if I am Lucy and that has happened. And today a new day is going to start. So then I will allow spontaneously what is going to happen. Then I have the plot line in mind. I know what is. So first I will allow my heart to play. And it can go anywhere. It can go. That's where the parabola I have used as a metaphor. So I don't stop the first 2-3 drafts in terms of the plot line. So as you can see, even in here, the time can move actually to 4 dimensions from here. If I just take time, to say time as a cue point. So the time as a cue point can move to 4 dimensions. If I take Lucy as the cue point, we have given so many plot lines that Lucy from here now has multiple openings. So maybe I will take one such opening, and then we'll see. So I don't create my art with lot of predefinitions, because I can't do that. I sometimes allow, if I put in cinematic language, okay, I am both a method and a process kind of a framing person. So there's a method, but I will also instantaneously frame a plot. And if the plot takes me somewhere, I will allow the frame to take it, and somewhere then I will stop. But I am either, when I am exhausted, I will stop it. So it can go anywhere. It can go anywhere.
Yeah, I think there's some problem with his internet connectivity. Yeah.
Sorry. Just wanted to ask you, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can.
Yes. I like the spontaneity very much. It's very, very interesting. But there are many issues of environment, of use of energy, resources, mankind's tendency to cut the tree on which mankind is resting, these problems. How do they come in then if it is totally spontaneous?
So what I generally will do is that once the plot develops, in the plot narration and the text, as you can see now, the plot itself will be centered around environmental, ecological issues. I mean, all throughout, there at the background context is this dark empire rising, the earth changing, the climate change happening, climate reversal happening, earth. So I also apply a lot of geoscience, as you have seen. So even over here, the earth's climatic pattern, the role reversal. So also how the earth itself changed from epochs to ages, Holocene to Anthropocene. There are these subtle references even in Lucy 3. So that plot will continue, because that is the core. So maybe that is the bridge note. If I think of a musical composition, that's a bridge note which is going back and forth, constantly coming and playing just as a bridge note between 2 lines, again a bridge note, just like a jazz rhythm. But the in between the leads, which are the characters, the leads can go anywhere, but they will come back to the bridge note. So
yeah, it's almost like a classical raga.
It's like a classical raga.
The basic notes are there, but you can improvise to a large extent, going here and there, and then
Yeah,
come
yeah,
back
yeah.
finally to the initial. So I'd like to read a little bit. This is from page 42. Between 42 and 43, I'll read a bit. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
Now, it's like this. Chang immediately joined him in searching for the notepad, but even their joint search was fruitless. After standing unsurely for a few seconds, Chang suddenly dragged Jacob's backpack and started checking the contents. Hey,
Mm.
what are you searching for? Asked Peter Jacob in an astonished tone. Testing a theory, Chang responded, and within a few seconds retrieved the notebook from within the laptop cover. You see, even if you are dog tired, you are unlikely to leave this on your table. So I deduced that you must have carried this home and kept inside the laptop cover for convenience. But I factored in your fatigue. You have not opened the laptop yesterday, right? Jacob sheepishly admitted. Not getting younger, man. After some small talk, Chang left, and Jacob opened the pad. He then drew his favorite pen from his pocket and suddenly stopped. The pen has been a gift from his late friend, Jonathan Dang. Is it symbolic or mere coincidence, my friend? But I'm documenting the journey of Lucy and the AI with a pen bearing your touch, he muttered under his breath. Then, as if driven by an unknown drive inside that kept pushing him, he started writing his personal views on the two experiments with a greater focus on the second one. He felt that he was just an instrument to communicate and narrate a story whose plot had already been decided. A key question, whose plot it is and where the destiny leads us to, started pricking his mind. Perhaps driven by this thought at the back of his mind, Jacob did not use his computer for writing. Meticulously, he wrote the possible paths that were emerging from Lucy's journey, going back and forth in time. For him, this journey started the day when Jonathan Dang decided to launch the first experiment. Almost after 2 hours, his writing was finally over. Exhausted, he stared at the red notebook for some time. He noisily blew away a puff of air from his mouth and reclined on the back of the chair, feeling relieved after a long time. Jacob closed the notebook and started slowly and timidly brushing its cover with his fingers. It seemed that, like a sculptor, he was caring for his work of art. He felt that the red color on the cover encapsulated all emotional colors of his mind. A dream of passion, dedication, hardship, sacrifice, and sweat embedded in it. He suddenly felt as if there was an apparent transformation of the notebook's cover. It was changing its color to black first, and then it became a clean white cover. The apparent changes in the color of the diary were also a symbolic representation of the changing dreams, passions, feelings, and emotions. I must go home early today, declared Jacob. My mind has started playing tricks with me, he told himself while getting up for lunch. In the excitement of finding the notebook and finishing the work, he forgot that his bag, along with the notebook, was lying on the couch of the drawing room all night. I think I did it work for you? Was it okay?
Yeah, I
Hello.
lost. Yeah, I lost you when you said I think I. After that, the internet connectivity was not there, so I could not hear you. What did you say? I think
Hello.
I.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can
Hello.
hear you. Yeah, I can hear you. Hello.
What's the problem? Some of
Hello.
the sound is not coming. I don't know why. Hello.
My sound. Can you hear? Can you hear my sound?
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
What to
I
do?
can hear you.
I can hear, but very, very faintly. Sound seems very low. Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
It's coming very faint.
Is it clear now? Is
Should
it
I
clear
go
now?
out and come back again?
Yeah, maybe that will be because I
I'll
think
just
there's an
go out
internet
and come back.
ha, 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 ha.
Hello.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, now absolutely clear. Absolutely clear.
Yeah,
So did it work for
yeah,
you? That bit?
yeah. I loved this part. So, you said something I did, and then I could not hear you. What did you say?
I was
Then the
saying
internet connection.
that I tried to do it a little dramatically, although
Right.
this is a written work, as if it
Uh,
were a theater or if it were a cinema, because the very dramatic moments these are, one after the
yeah,
other.
yeah. Actually, the majority of the writing part of Lucy also when I have been writing, so I write more like a screenplay also. So like a screenplay and the visuals come and then I start to the writing part. So there
This
Devashish also helps me.
Yes, this part was very much like a screenplay, the changing
Yeah,
of color,
yeah,
his
yeah,
imagination,
yeah,
dream, going back and forth in time. These are very, very visual elements, audio visual
yeah,
elements, I feel.
yeah. So even if I must share with you the draft one of Lucy 3, you will see that that part was so the draft finally which has come out as a book is probably the 32nd draft, 32nd or
I see.
33rd. So the first draft to the fifth draft is very much like a script writer. So I also used to write script. So my first drafts are always very much like a screenplay, and it is there Devashish that helps me. So Devashish that tells me, okay, you have to uh, don't allow your directorial mind and screenplay mind to outweigh the literary
Right,
stuff. So that's how he directs me. And
correct.
but what we deliberately do is that we keep a mix of musical element, screenplay element, visual element, so that for every reader we can connect.
And you have a very strong philosophic mooring in this novel because you see, we're talking about the Big Bang. I have been recently doing some research on Tagore's penchant for science in his later years. Actually,
Hmm.
he wrote a book called Bishwa Purichoy when he
Vishwakosha.
was in his 70s. And
Yeah.
there he talks about very, very, in those days, modern concepts like atomic theory and radioactivity and the Big Bang. And this time the Nobel Prize was won by Sir Roger Penrose, who also has written a lot about the Big Bang and his opinion of Stephen Hawking's, various versions where Stephen Hawking himself sometimes disproves his own theories. So I find that a man like Tagore, a man of arts, he had such a deep insight into science because the essence of science was philosophy. And the fact that you have made this a philosophic science fiction novel is the best thing about it, because the thrills are there, the chills are there, the drama is there, but at the same time, there is this infinity, this concept of infinity, which is very, very philosophic.
Yeah, as a child, and this is many of my close friends complain to me that I can't talk to them normally. So whatever I'm saying, it's always cryptic, and so I'm playing with them even in normal conversations. But I don't know. I think that is my mom's gene somewhere in me. This I think naturally came because of the readings I had, and I always wanted to study philosophy and science. I mean, I never wanted to, and I'm saying it publicly, I never wanted to study engineering, and economics was actually a serendipity love. I never wanted to study economics. First of all, I wanted to study physics and philosophy, and that was very close to my heart. That how art, philosophy talks to physics, and from a very childhood. But as you asked me the first question, that I was not getting an outlet to express these things. So even Lucy became somewhere an outlet of my parallel readings, and even
I
say the
just want to add
yeah,
one
go ahead.
thing. This is a discussion about your novel and about literature. There's something very important which strikes me. You felt a kind of claustrophobia while you were in the higher studies of your career. I would like to say that somehow subjects like economics and even say energy science, they must become more open. The fact
Yeah,
is that they're very hidebound. Economics is not just the marginal propensity to consume. It can't
never.
be. It
Yeah,
has to
yeah,
go outside that. Somehow
yeah.
our framers of our syllabi and our professors, they give too much importance to economics and energy science, and they don't give enough importance to philosophy and science. Hello,
Yeah, we can hear
hello,
you. Yeah, we can hear you. I think there is some connectivity problem.
hello. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Hello. Yes, you were
So
saying. I think I yes, I
yeah, you were
interrupted you.
mentioning about the claustrophobia. You were mentioning
Yes.
about the claustrophobia of economics, and so please go ahead.
No, I
You
just
were saying
wanted your
something.
response. Do you agree that the syllabi needs to be tweaked a little?
No, if you ask me frankly, I think the entire education system needs to change from the primary school level. Because I felt a very similar claustrophobia in my school also. I mean, I'm not demeaning. I'm saying that. So I studied in a very well-known school, South Point, in Kolkata. My entire schooling was from. I got good friends over there. I got very good friends. I got some good companionship. Today, also the kind of exposure I got, it has a role. But also, I I also felt a claustrophobia of this curriculum business, this chasing numbers, trying to do things without questioning. I mean, I can tell you the way mathematics we do. I mean, mathematics is such a fun subject. when I teach today mathematics to my students, I don't teach them equations at all. I teach them through a poetry first. I try to teach them how music has a pattern, and mathematics is about pattern. So we have to demystify these subjects, and because if we don't humanize these subjects, we are not adding anything to the society. We are not adding anything to the society. And I always had this claustrophobia so I troubled my mom a lot. I think she had to bear but also I think this questioning thing also, because of her, I'm grateful to her that I will question everything. I mean, why should I do the concept 2 plus 2 equal to 4? I could never accept that fact, that why 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. Why isomorphism is not taught in mathematics? When we are teaching 2 plus 2 equal to 4 to a child, we should not tell the child that 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. We should tell the child that why 2, what is 2, why that 2 is like that, and why 2 plus 2 is 4. Who tells that philosophy?
Correct. So thank you very much. It was extremely interesting interacting with you, and your novel, therefore, can be a path breaker to open the minds of the people who are into hidebound thinking. So this is an exceptional book because it is irrational at moments, because it combines elements of cinema and theater, because it contains characters like the grasshopper, and because it has, of course, Lucy at the core. So I'm extremely grateful to you for writing this, and me for having the opportunity to read it and interact with you. It's a great opportunity. It's a great novel. It's a path-breaking novel, and it can really bridge art and science together. And once again, to end with what Tagore said, that science is nothing but art systematized. Thank you very much, Anandajit.
I am grateful, Professor Viswanathan. I am grateful to you that you like the work. I am grateful to Mona, Sushruto. I'm grateful to all of you. I think my day is made. Only for this thing, I have been questioning myself from the day I was born, for this moment.
Thank you so much, Ashoke Viswanathan and Anandjit. Thank you so much for this wonderful, enriching, engaging discussion. We imbibed a lot. We got to know about the book. We got to know about the subject. Thank you so much to both of you for your time and for being here at the Readers and Writers Club. It was a brilliant discussion. We've been getting a lot of queries from the club, from Readers and Writers Club. So if any of the authors want to come and interact with these eminent individuals, you're most welcome to get in touch with us. And I wish Anandjit all the very best. And Ashoke Viswanathan, we can't thank you enough for giving us time and for making the interaction so fascinating. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Professor Viswanathan, Mona, Sushruto, everyone in the Readers and Writers Club. Thank you so much. And also Anjanadi, because of whom I think Lucy started. Okay. Thank you so much.